Hey there! Now we're going to speak a bit about the conversion rate optimization process. So which are the steps that you need to take into account so that your conversion rate can grow steadily? The first step, if you're an agency and you have a client, or if you are doing the conversion rate optimization for your own use, the first step is the business research. So you analyze the buyer persona, you analyze the emotional triggers, you analyze the context, the competition, all of those things. After that, you are doing the technical review of the website. So you take into account how the website works with the optimization platform. Do you have a tracking? The web analytics is working okay? Do you have a data layer? How all the events are tracked completely okay, and the funnel and the steps between the funnel and the abandonment rates are tracked okay. So the first thing, without starting, you analyze the buyer persona, you analyze the business, the competition, then you do the technical review. After that, you do the quantitative research and you take a deep diving into the Google Analytics and you analyze what's going on with the segments, with the funnel, with all the things which can be grouped, right? So quantitative research means you group things, you cluster, you look at a bigger group of data. Then you do the qualitative research. You see the undermining factors and all the reasons that are making the visitor buy. You can see if there's a desire or if it's a need. You can understand a lot of data from the qualitative research. Then you do the user experience audit. You take a look at the routes, at the flow, at all the elements, how many steps does the visitor should go through so that it converts. After that, you do the insights generation. So based on all these data sources, you come up with the insights. So what's an insight? The difference between an insight and a piece of data is that the insight is highly actionable. So it's an anomaly. It's something which is impressive. Something like, let me give you an insight. The conversion rate for the visitors which are performing a search prior to conversion is 6 times higher than the visitors which are not searching. Or before making a purchase, the average user has 14 page views on a fashion e-commerce website. So all of these things are insights. And based on all these insights, you come up with the hypothesis and with the prioritization of the hypothesis. So prioritization is very, very important. As one of the greatest CRO experts, Chris Gard from Wider Funnel, states in his PI framework, you see the potential, you see the impact, and you see the ease, right? So how easy it is, what's the impact, and what's the potential. So based on how the hypothesis is being made, and the hypothesis is something like, because of insert the insight, we're gonna insert the exact change that you're gonna do on a specific page or on a specific segment, we expect this to happen. So because of that, let's change that and see what's, because we expect this uplift or this change into the conversion. So after you do all the prioritization according to their scores and you group them and you decide to do first things first based on the impact, the budget, the easiness score, you do the experiments. So running an experiment is very easily once you have all this data, but the experiment needs to be also tested. So after you implement the experiment into OmniConvert, for instance, you should take a look at how this impacts the whole flow. So that's why the QA, it's part of the experiment. So you should take a look at how the experiment runs on all the resolutions, on all the browsers which are important for you. And then you adjust, you learn, and you implement. So what adjust really means? So if there are only 2 days since you've launched an experiment, the conversion rate is not steadily, because the conversion rate is affected by the business cycle. And the business cycle means how many days are between the first interaction with a website and a purchase. And usually, depending on how important that product that you're selling is, that means the business cycle can be shorter for, I don't know, shoes or any type of grocery stuff, right? Because you're not spending like 2 weeks to decide to buy some milk. But if you want to buy a fridge or a car or whatever other kind of item, the business cycle is much more longer. So you need to be sure that your experiment is covering a full business cycle. And you don't need to adjust it unless you see that the conversion rate dropped dramatically. So you should take into account what's going on, but don't do any type of changes in the first few hours or first few days. The adjustment, of course, should be made based on the statistical significance. So based on the statistical significance, you can see if the experiment will be successful or not. And there are two ways to analyze this. OmniConvert, for instance, is the single platform that can allow you to see the frequentist way to measure the statistical relevance and also the Bayesian way to measure the statistical relevance. So mainly the adjustment should be made based on numbers, because we tend to analyze things based on our emotion as human beings. So after you adjust it and after you decide that an experiment is ready to be deployed, you should consider these things. So Craig Sullivan, for instance, taught me, I think 4 years ago, that despite the statistical relevance and despite the number of the uplift in conversion, you should make sure that you have at least a few hundreds of conversions for each variant. So that's very important. And if you have a low traffic website, maybe you should reconsider to do A/B testing, because the testing cycle is going to take much more longer. So maybe you have other growth strategies that can allow you to improve your business, and eventually you'll come up to use all this conversion rate optimization and testing. So after all of this is done, then you should repeat from step one. So you should always overlook that everything is going well, and you reanalyze and you come up with the insights, and you roll your experiments further. So that was it for the moment.